Hello everyone, and this is picking up from part 1, and so this is the next part of our series on getting started with Maya. So as you can see, we left off as creating these groups right here in our screen, and we have learned how to tumble around and see this workspace at different angles and things like that. Now, let's talk about a very important part of our workflow, which is saving. Especially with working with very complex, very heavy 3D programs, it's very possible that, worst comes to worst, your program will crash and you might lose some of your hard work. So it's very important to save often and frequently. So coming up here to File, we can hit File, Save Scene As, if this is the first time that you're saving. If this is not, then you can just hit Save Scene. But since I haven't saved this project before, I'm going to hit Save Scene As. And so now, as you notice, in the very top directory, this puts it into the project that we had set up earlier with set project. And so I've got this called Demo Maya project, and we're going to call this Demo Test 01. And now, if you can look at the very top of my screen, it shows that it is saved inside my project, and it's labeled demotest1.ma. .ma stands for Maya ASCII. It's very important that we save these as .ma and not .mb, my binary files. The way that you'll be able to see that is over here whenever you open to the file screen and it says either as ASCII or binary. We want ASCII. I'm going to hit cancel because I already saved, and now we're good to go. We'll just do this every once in a while. And instead of going to File, Save Scene as you continue working through your project, you can also just hit Control S and it will say, successfully saved down there. So let's say if we're working on this stuff and we don't actually need this group of parts anymore, and you need to delete it, that's very easy. If you select the groups or you select all of these objects and so they're highlighted in green, you can just hit the delete key on your keyboard and it goes away. It's all gone. Now, let's create a cube again because we're going to be using that. I'm going to scale it up just a little bit while it's in the scale mode. And let's talk about changing up the cube so that way it could be, a little bit more organic than what we were doing in before. So in order to do that, you can also change the different sides or the different corners of these cubes. And the way I could do that is by pressing and holding right click, and this opens up a little menu of stuff that you could do. Now, right now I'm in object mode, which means that every change that I imprint on it, whether it's translating, rotating, or scaling it, it affects the entire cube. So I move the entire cube left, right, up, or down, or rotating it and things like that. But let's say if I only want to move a specific side or a specific face or a specific corner. Well, by holding right click, I can select face. And now, as you can see, I can hover over each of these faces, the 6 faces that are on this cube, and I can select just that face. So if I just want this face right here on the front of my cube to move forward or back, I can do that. I can also lift it up and do all of the same translations that we could have done from before. So I'm going to take this guy and rotate it, because why not? There we go. Now, if I want to manipulate just an edge of my cube, then I can, of course, hold right click and pull up to where it says edge. And now, as you can see, in a very similar fashion, I can grab, an edge right here and I can pull this in or out, or I can rotate it, or I can scale it so it's smaller, or anything like that. Now, if I want to manipulate the corners of my cube, corners in 3D spaces are called vertices, or a singular one is vertex. So I can hover over to the right and let go on vertex, and now I can grab each of these little corners and I can make them do whatever I want. So I can scoot these guys in if I wanted to, do little things like that. And now I've got this very funky looking cube that I'm able to manipulate just by changing the vertices or the edges or the faces. So this becomes the building block of polymodeling, in which we're going to be taking all of this stuff and changing it around and adding multiple cubes to create complex structures and complex forms of anything that we want to. It's very important. So with that being said, this is all about how to manipulate each individual points, vertices, edges, and faces. So stay tuned for the next one. That way we'll get into some more sophisticated stuff. Thanks again. Bye-bye.